UK Hirlock, and I welcome the opportunity to speak on the Microenterprise Loan Fund Bill, and I welcome the expansion that this bill brings about for supports for Microfinance Ireland, COVID-19 loan funds, and for the SBCI Future Growth Loan Scheme. I think these provide vital measures, and it's very important that it progresses through the door as quickly as possible to support micro businesses. Public health is rightfully our most important concern at this time. However, the pandemic has had a very significant and serious impact on small businesses, and in particular on micro enterprises. They are the engine of our local economies. They provide local jobs. They are very often, and most often, local families who run them, who set them up, and very often intergenerational. I've spoken to many of these businesses in the county of Wexford and throughout Wexford. Many of these now are struggling to survive. Many are questioning whether they will even reopen. We're talking about laundries, cafes, tradespeople, small hardware stores, young and small enterprises, gym businesses, ordinary small businesses with a few employees who have suffered very, very hard in the last number of months. They're the entrepreneurs, they are ordinary people, they're the ones who took huge risks to establish their small businesses. They're also very difficult businesses to set up. When they are lost, they are very difficult to replace. Any funds that are provided for these small businesses, what is going to be critical is speed of access. Access to these funds, that they can get them quickly, and that the method to get them is simple and it is clear. These businesses are very, very worried. They're seeing their cash flow collapse. They're seeing the bills mount up. And while there was some forbearance from some debtors, or creditors, I should say, many of those bills are now flying in through the letterboxes and they are piling up. They're concerned at how they will be supported going forward in terms of supports around rates, VAT, loans and grants. In short, cost and liquidity. Any small business, its cost of doing business and it is access to funds is absolutely critical to survive. So I'm very hopeful that this bill will help to allay some of their fears, but we'll need to see more supports for them in the next couple of weeks. They provide essential and valuable services throughout our local economy. And for regions and counties like my own Wexford and like the South East region that have suffered very slow recovery, if at all, since the last recession, they are the communities that are now very, very vulnerable. My own county of Wexford relies on tourism. It relies on small businesses. And if they are lost, our county will suffer extremely hard. These are the small businesses that are very adaptive. They are the innovative businesses, and they deserve our support. We hear many conversations and many discussions about the IDA and big businesses, and yes, they're hugely important. But the backbone of our country and our economy are these small businesses. When an IDA business closes up and moves off somewhere else, these businesses stay here, and we need to support them. I particularly want to mention the tourism industry. My own, again, county of Wexford is highly reliant on the tourism industry, but already they have lost most of their season. August 15th is generally the date when the tourist season starts to turn, when you start to see people starting to trail off. By September, it's gone quiet again. So they've lost already most of the season. Many are only opening on a basis of seeing can they survive. But if they quickly enter into the winter period without having the supports there that are necessary to survive, they won't be open again next spring. Many have only opened on a trial and error basis to see how things will go. They've watched now, even where they're open, they can maybe let in a maximum about 1/3 of their traditional customer base, but they need twice as many staff, and their costs are going up. So they need the supports. The food and accommodation sector has probably been the sector that is one of the hardest, not the hardest hit. And many of those businesses, again, are family businesses, they're small businesses, and they will not be able to survive if they don't get the supports that they need. So we must, I think, understand and ensure the value of these businesses are to our economy and to our country, and protect these businesses. And because that not only protects, I think, the small local economy, it protects the families, it protects our communities, it retains social cohesion. And that money that's spent in small local businesses, that money is kept locally. You know, when someone goes into a hardware store and buys a few bits and pieces, that local hardware store owner, that money and their employees, that money is kept respent in the local economy as well. It's not simply money that's going into one bank account and going back out to another bank account, possibly in another country. So it's absolutely critical we support these. And we look back in the last recession we had, these small businesses that survived helped our economy and our country to grow again. But it was many very good and viable businesses, small businesses, that crashed in the last economy that didn't need to crash. If they had had small few bits of supports, they could have gotten over a difficult 3, 6, 9 months, and they could have kept going again. Because in a lot of cases, good businesses collapsed simply because some of their debtors went out of business as well, and the cash flow dried up so quickly. I think something else that needs to be addressed is that while we are now no doubt facing into a recession, it is a little bit different than the last one, because there is, as I understand it, very significant savings in bank accounts. I think the figure being bandied about for the month of May was that this time last year there was about a little less than 2 billion was put away in savings in the month of May. Month of May for 2020, it was upwards of somewhere between 10 and 12 billion euros. We need to get that cash flowing. We need to get people, and that means getting people confidence that. And to give them confidence, that means giving them clarity of what they can and can't do, what they can book and can't book, and what they can benefit from. I think the figure is something like a huge amount of Irish people holiday at home every year, but they spend approximately about 7 times as much funds on foreign holidays. Very few people now will be going on foreign holidays this year. We have to again find a way to encourage those people to holiday at home, to vacate at home, and to spend their hard-earned money in the local economies, to keep those economies going, in our local pubs, in our local restaurants, in our local hotels, and in our other small micro businesses as well. And I appreciate, it's not easy to give an answer to everything, but we need these businesses to survive, because ultimately, if they don't survive, those businesses go out of business, and those families and their employees end up on social welfare payments, and that's only a further cost as well. These are good businesses with a little bit of support. They can survive, and they can once again thrive. Thank you very much, Gerlach.